I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. At the dinner table, meaningful conversations about school, work, and life support children and encourage them to succeed. Parent University and Believe to Become are proud to support our show today. Welcome to Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. I'm Chef Terry Reese, and this is the WKTV studios. Welcome everybody here. On tonight's menu, we are planning a romantic night in. And I know that a lot of times it's very difficult to think of what to make. And sometimes you want to try some food that you've never done before. So tonight we are going to be doing duck breast with risotto with fennel and leek, and we're going to be making some fudge pots. I'm going to start with dessert first because that's going to take a little bit more time to do, and it's really quite simple. I happen to like recipes that are like one bowl recipes because I sometimes can be very lazy. And my husband appreciates one bowl recipes because then he only has one bowl to clean. So what I have in this bowl here is about 2/3 of a cup of cocoa, just your everyday cocoa that you have, and a whole stick of butter. I didn't say that it was a healthy dessert, so nobody go that route, but everything in moderation is good. And then what I'm going to do is just mix this up and get it going here. Now when I worked for Steelcase, we used to do this at Meyer Mayhouse, and this used to be one of the go-to desserts. And what I'm going to tell you about this recipe is you can double it and you can triple it. You can make the batter and you can put it in the refrigerator and make it 2 or 3 days later. It's one of those you can do ahead of time. I'm then going to add in about 1.5 cups of sugar. Stir it up. And then add in my flour. I need about 3 tablespoons of flour. I measure really exact. I used to do this almost every weekend, and I just would keep going and going and going with it. And just a couple of eggs. And if you notice, I had melted butter, but I waited to get all the other ingredients in there so that I can get the eggs taken care of without scrambling them. And then I'm just going to mix it up. Now you could have mixed these up in a different bowl and wasted it, but I'm just going to break it here and go ahead and mix it. Doesn't take much to get it going. Get rid of that out of the way. And because I like pecans, I'm going to add some pecans into it. And because I like a lot of pecans, I'm going to add a lot of pecans. Now if you wanted to with this, you could flavor this up a little bit because it is chocolate. You could put in some balsamic vinegar. You could put in some cayenne pepper, vanilla, whatever. But I'm just going to leave it quite simple like that. Move this over here. And then I'm going to get a scoop. We talked about this before, but this is actually, and you guys will call this an ice cream scoop, but it's actually a measuring device. And this one says 12 on it, which means it takes 12 scoops to, I believe it's a quart in order to come out with it. But it works great when you want to fill up creme brulee cups. So I'm just going to go ahead. These have been buttered. You could sugar them if you want. And then they're going to bake in a bain-marie, which means a fancy term for it needs a little bit of water going on with it. And the water is going to help it cook gently so you get a custard crust on it. Kind of even these out. There, got 6 of them. Recipe calls for about 6 for one batch. I got 6. I was lucky today. So one of the things that you can do is a lot of people will fill this with water, walk over to the stove, and then put them in. What I'm going to do is walk over to the oven, open it up, set it in, and then I'm going to take my water And I'm going to do is pour it in so I don't have to carry hot water all over. And I apologize for my back to you. And then I'm going to let it go about 30 or 40 minutes. If you do it this way, you don't have that hot kettle of water, you don't have the water jiggling around, and then go forward with it. Get the stickiness off my hands here. The next thing we're going to work on is risotto. Now everybody talks about risotto as being really hard to do. It takes time, you got to stir it a lot. That is true, but it's not as difficult as a lot of people will make it out to be. So today we're going to do risotto with fennel and with leek, which I already have in my pan, and I'm getting started on with it. So I'm going to let this get turned up a bit and let it sweat up so that it can do its little bit of magic here. And all I want it to do is get nice and soft. So with fennel, it looks like this. It's kind of got a licoricey taste. And I'm going to cut the end off of it and cut through. Set it over here. And then can you smell it? You can keep all these nice little green leaves in order to use it for garnish. And just slice through it, just like an onion. It's nice and easy when you do it that way. Now what really bothers people are leeks, because the leeks can get to be a little bit gritty. So I have a leek here, and I've got leeks already in here. And I've done the nice little, okay, I've rinsed it off and taken care of it. I'm just going to move this pile over here. It'll be a pretty pile on TV. And I'm going to go over here, and I want you to pretend that this is a sink full of water, and that this is your big colander that you have. So I will slice my leek and go as far as I want with it. Let's see. What? Now this one's fairly clean. And then I'm going to put it in my colander. And I'm going to let it set there. And if this was really, really dirty, all the dirt and the sand would all just fall to the bottom here. Instead of having to rinse it, rinse it, rinse it, you just do a little swirly pool, and then you would lift up, drain it out, and you'd be set to go. This is really clean, so I'm going to add it to my risotto right there and move this out. Easy way to clean some vegetables that you need to do. So I have it going, and if you know me, I like to salt and pepper as I go. So I'm going to add some salt and pepper to this. Because if you season as you go, it's always better. And then I'm going to add some arborio rice. This is maybe about a cup and a half. You can buy it at almost any grocery store now. And what you want to do is add it to your pan. Make sure that you have enough oil going on in there, and I think I need a little bit. And then I'm going to toast these kernels. And this usually takes for about a cup and a half, maybe 20 to 30 minutes to do if you're watching it. A lot of people think, oh, I can't do this, it's going to take forever, but it really doesn't. And what I want to do is get it coated so that everything works nice and smooth with it. And eventually, I'm going to make sure that was still on, you'll get to hear it smell and taste a little bit of nuttiness from the kernels, and that will tell you that it's about ready to start adding in your stock. Now I'm going to just move all this out of the way so that we have a clean area here. And what I'm going to do is add in a ladle of stock one at a time. So add it in. Think I need 2. Get this started. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stir it. What's going to happen is while I stir it, it's going to break down the starches in the rice, and it's going to end up releasing all that texture and go and absorb it. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to move this over, I think, so we can see it a little bit better. We're going to work on some duck. I have some duck breast here. There are two schools of thought when it comes to duck. One is you start with a hot pan and you cook it and sear it. The other one is you start with a cold pan and let it go until it gets done. Either way works perfectly fine. But what you want to do is hatch cross this a little bit. Now we were talking about it, somebody said that looks really red. It is really red. All duck is dark meat. And what you want to do is just put a little bit of a hatch mark through the skin and let it go on this side also. And I'll do 2 of these. While you're doing this, there's 2 things. One, it'll prevent your duck from curling up under and having this look like it's a very, very small piece. And it'll also let you render out the fat because there's a lot of fat that is on this duck. A little salt, a little pepper, maybe too much, but that's okay. Then I'm going to place it in the pan. We heard a little bit of a sizzle, that's good. And now I'm going to move this and give my hands a quick wash. Now the duck's going to do its thing, and if you're like most people, you want to touch the pan. Right now, everybody is saying in your minds, Terry, pick up the tongs and touch it. I'm not going to do that. I want this fat to slowly render out so that we have a nice, beautiful crust on it. So over here, you can tell that my risotto has started to separate out. The liquid's been absorbed, and so I want to add some more liquid to it. And again, I'm just going to stir it as I need to get it done. Nice and easy. And move it around. Now, one of the things about risotto too is you can cook it to a point where you can stop it about 3/4 done, put it in the refrigerator, and then finish it. But we're going to finish this all the way through. The duck here is going just fine. It's going to need a little bit, and we haven't seasoned the top of it. So we'll go ahead and season that. And we will turn this up a bit. Now with this duck, we are going to serve a Michigan tart cherry sauce. Now one of the reasons that we're doing that is the duck has a lot of fat in it. Everybody's had duck fries and you've cooked with duck fat. Well, maybe not everybody has. I have a little bit. So what I have here in the pan is some Michigan tart cherries. I have got some balsamic vinegar in there, red balsamic, and I have a little bit of water, and I've just been cooking those down slowly so that it becomes a nice sauce. So the sauce is going to help cut the fat on the duck that you have. I hope that makes a little bit of sense here as I'm watching back and forth between 2 pans. And I can tell that I'm starting to render out a lot of fat, and I have a heavy bottom pan, so it's taking a bit of time here. So let's take a look, see where we're at. Need a little bit more. See how that's stuck? When your meat sticks to a pan, you want to let it sit there. It's something called the Maillard reaction, which says, Mom, I am not ready to get turned over yet. Please leave me be. I got to finish tanning here. And so just let it go for a while. So what I'm going to do is pull out our fudge pots just to show you how they work, how they look while we're doing all this. Because this is just going to take a bit of time to get done. Can you smell the fennel and the leek in that? Makes a nice, nice cover here. Okay. So pretending these are hot, come out and you get fudge pots that are like this. Now normally what would happen is there might be just a little bit of water that's left in here. And if they're really, really hot, what you want to do is take your tongs, Pick them up with the tongs and set them out. We'll just put 3 there for the time being. And of course, you can put anything at all on here. Look at that. Starting to get nice and colorful there. So I have some fudge pots sitting here, and what I might like to do is put a few strawberries on there. Add some strawberries. It'll help soften and keep the top part of the fudge pot soft. And then you could top it with whipped topping if you like. Eat them plain. Add a little bit of sugar to it with powdered sugar. There. And there we have dessert. I'm going to take a look at this again. Getting a lot of smoke, getting a lot of heat, almost getting there. So if you can see, it's starting to get nice and brown, but I still have a nice layer of fat there. I'm going to leave it right there. And this is where I go over. Now, if you can see here, the risotto has taken all the water in, the stock in. And if you pull your spoon through it and it separates out, you know that it's time to add some more. It's still got some starch there to get through. So we'll go ahead and do this. I'll turn that up a bit. Now I don't want that to be smoking that much. I control the heat so I can turn it down, or I could just pick it up and move it over if I thought it was cooking too hard and too fast so that it can cool a bit. And then we'll turn this over. That looks pretty darn good. I don't know, it does to me. And now you have 2 choices. You can finish cooking this in the pan for about 4 or 5 minutes. If you want to, you could move it into the oven and let the oven finish cooking it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to move this into the oven and let it finish cooking. Maybe. So I have a couple of duck breasts that are already done here, and they're really beautiful. There. And you control your oven too, so if you can't, you gotta just make it work. You make it work. So one of the things I'm gonna do is let our duck rest. And I'm gonna use a cutting board that has some edges on it here. And that'll help contain any of the juices that you have with it. And we'll set this up. And we're going to need some nice plates. 2. I have 2 duck breasts, 2 plates. And a little bit of garnish to cut off. And I'm going to stir my risotto here. Again, you just want to let this keep going until it absorbs all of the liquid, and then you have to do a taste test on this here. What you want is al dente. You want it to have a little bit of a bite to the rice, but you don't want it cooked all the way through. And I can tell that this one needs a little bit more, but I'll taste it. It needs a lot more, but that's okay. And you know what? It's going to need some salt too. So when you taste it and you need to add some salt to it, you can go ahead and add some salt. So I have some risotto that is almost done right here. My cherry sauce has been cooking and it's taken care of. So I'm going to warm this up here a little bit by adding in some stock. We'll let that go for a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to cut the duck. One of the things you want to do when you cut duck is you want to go ahead and cut it on a hard bias. The reason for that is it will present nicer on a plate because this duck has shriveled up a little bit, and you want to be able to spread it on the plate to make it look like it's a larger portion and that it's evened out. And it also helps your guests eat, makes it easier for them to eat. So we're going to go ahead and slice this duck up. And you want to eat duck medium to medium rare. You warm this back up again, and it's going to be get leathery a little bit. I hear 2 pans going. So I have 2 duck breasts, all done. It's what we called shingled. And I'll go ahead and stir this one up. And last but not least, I have some cheese over here. We have some Parmesan Reggiano. Of course, you got to have some cheese when you have your risotto. We'll go ahead and put that in. Put it all in, what the heck. This one's mine. I haven't ate yet. And we'll do a little turn on that. Okay, there we go. So one of the things we're going to do here is I'm going to move the risotto to what you think is the center of the plate, which is really going to be a little bit in the off center. So we'll put a nice little section of risotto down. And then we'll come back over here and do the second plate. Got quiet in here all of a sudden. Everybody thinks, oh, we're going to be able to eat. We'll move our duck, fan it out a bit. So we have a beautiful little piece. Do the same on this side. Give it a little touch of some green. Move this over. Got some nice green. And one thing I do want to do is I want to clean this plate. So if you take a rag and wipe it through, you will have a nice clean plate. So that's what we've got here. We have a great dessert with fudge pots, we have risotto, and we have some duck. Anybody have any questions? No? Oh, the sauce. What was I going to do with the sauce? Gosh, thank you. I knew I needed somebody to tell me what to do around here. Let's add a little bit of the sauce to it. That'll even make the plate prettier. See, I knew I needed you guys. What do you think? How's that look? Better with the set? Yeah. All right, so we've gone through and made risotto, a fudge pot, 1 bowl dessert that's really nice and chocolatey, duck, done the searing of the pan with it. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself. I want to thank all my friends who have come here, the staff and the volunteers at WKTV. You can find these recipes and more at www.chefterryreese.com, or you can follow me on Facebook. We'll have links to the show and to the recipes there. You know what? I think we ought to taste some of this. So I'm about ready to go. Remember, be creative and cook at home. It's a lot better for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching today's show, Tips, Tricks, and Techniques. Remember, at the dinner table, much love is expressed. Life-giving conversations encourage children to believe in their unlimited potential, embrace high expectations, and seize every opportunity to achieve success in school, work, and life. Learn more about Believe to Become at IBelieveBecome.org.